We carry so much with us. The regrets of yesterday, the pain of what was, the fear of what could be. We hold on to moments that broke us, words that hurt us, and expectations that were never even ours to begin with. But today, I'm here to tell you it's time to let go. Not because it's easy, not because it happens overnight, but because holding on is costing you more than you realize. We often hear the phrase, let it go, but let's be honest, letting go is not easy. In fact, it can feel impossible. When something has hurt you deeply, when a mistake has shaped how you see yourself, or when a past experience still echoes in your mind, it's hard to simply drop it and move on. But here's the truth. Holding on is holding you back. Think about it. How much of your energy is spent replaying something that already happened? How many times have you let an old memory ruin a new day? The past has a way of creeping in, of making us feel stuck, as if we're chained to something we can't escape. But what if I told you that those chains aren't locked? What if I told you that you're the one keeping them wrapped around yourself? Holding on to pain, resentment, or regret is like carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Each stone represents something you haven't let go of. A mistake you made, a betrayal you experienced, a chance you didn't take. And the longer you carry this weight, the more exhausted you become. You might not even realize how much it's slowing you down until you finally put it down. But why do we hold on? One reason is that pain is familiar. We replay our worst moments because, in a strange way, they've become part of our identity. If you've been hurt before, you might keep revisiting that pain as a way to protect yourself. You tell yourself, I'll never let that happen again. But in doing so, you aren't just protecting yourself, you're also closing yourself off. You stop trying. You stop living freely. Another reason we struggle to let go is the illusion of control. Sometimes we believe that if we hold on to something long enough, we can change it. We think if I keep thinking about what went wrong, maybe I'll find a different outcome. But no amount of overthinking can rewrite the past. All it does is rob you of the present. So how do you let go? First, recognize that letting go is a choice. It doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. It means deciding that it no longer controls you. It means choosing to release the grip it has on your mind and heart. Next, practice self-awareness. Notice when you start dwelling on the past, ask yourself, is this thought helping me or is it holding me back? If it's not serving you, make the conscious decision to shift your focus. Forgiveness is another key step. And let's be clear, forgiveness is not about excusing someone else's actions. It's about freeing yourself from the pain they caused. When you refuse to forgive, you keep yourself tied to that person or situation. But when you forgive, you take back your power. Focus on the present. Start filling your life with things that bring you joy. Set new goals. Surround yourself with people who uplift you. The more you invest in your present, the less power your past will have over you. At the end of the day, letting go is about freedom. Freedom from the pain that no longer serves you. Freedom from the regrets that steal your happiness. Freedom to move forward, to grow, to live. And the only person who can give you that freedom is you. So make the choice. Drop the weight. Let go and live your life. No matter how much we think about the past, analyze it, or wish we could change it, one simple truth remains. The past cannot be changed, but the future can. Yet so many of us waste precious time and energy reliving old mistakes, dwelling on regrets, or wishing things had gone differently. We replay conversations in our heads, imagine alternate outcomes, and beat ourselves up over things that are already done. But what do we gain from this? Absolutely nothing. The past is like a book that has already been written. You can flip back through the pages, reread the chapters, and even highlight certain lines. But you cannot rewrite the story. No matter how much you analyze what happened, the words on those pages will remain the same. But here's the good news. The next chapter is still unwritten. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to move forward is that they confuse learning from the past with living in it. It's healthy to reflect, to acknowledge mistakes, and to take responsibility for what went wrong. Growth comes from self-awareness, but there's a difference between learning from the past and being trapped by it. When you allow your past to define your present, you give it power over your future. Think about it like this. Imagine you're driving a car, but instead of looking ahead through the windshield, you're staring in the rearview mirror the entire time. What's going to happen? You'll crash. Life works the same way. If you're constantly looking back, you can't move forward effectively. You'll miss opportunities, relationships, and experiences because your focus is in the wrong place. So how do you shift your mindset from dwelling on the past to building the future? The first step is acceptance. Accept that what's done is done. No amount of regret, guilt, or self-criticism will change what happened. Acceptance does not mean you approve of everything that occurred. It simply means you acknowledge reality and choose to stop fighting against it. Reframe your past as a lesson, not a life sentence. Every mistake, failure, or setback carries a lesson. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Start asking, what did this teach me? When you shift your perspective, you take control. You stop being a victim of your past and start becoming the author of your future. Another crucial step is self-forgiveness. Too often, we are our own worst critics. We hold ourselves to impossible standards, expecting perfection, and when we fall short, we punish ourselves relentlessly. But what if you extended the same kindness to yourself that you would to a friend? If someone you cared about made a mistake, you wouldn't tell them they were worthless or doomed forever. You would remind them that they are human and that mistakes are a part of life. You deserve that same grace. One powerful way to start focusing on the future is to set new goals. When you have a clear vision of where you want to go, you naturally shift your attention away from where you've been. Goals give you purpose, motivation, and something to look forward to. Instead of being defined by your past, you start being driven by your potential. Surround yourself with the right influences. The people you spend time with, the content you consume, and the thoughts you entertain all shape your mindset. If you're constantly around negativity, it will be harder to break free from the past. But if you surround yourself with people who encourage growth, positivity, and progress, you'll find it easier to move forward. The past is a place of reference, not residence. You can visit it, learn from it, and use it as a guide, but you should never live there. Your future is waiting, and it is shaped by the choices you make today. So choose to move forward. Choose to create something better. The past cannot be changed, but the future, that's entirely up to you. Fear is one of the greatest thieves of happiness. It keeps us stuck, trapped in our own minds, playing out worst-case scenarios that may never even happen. And yet so many of us live our lives dictated by fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. We hesitate, we overthink, and we convince ourselves that staying still is safer than moving forward. But here's the truth. Fear of the future is stealing your present. Think about all the moments you've hesitated because you were afraid of what might happen. Maybe you wanted to start a new business but feared it wouldn't work out. Maybe you wanted to speak up in a meeting but worried about what others might think. Maybe you wanted to pursue a dream but convinced yourself you weren't good enough. In each of these moments, fear made the decision for you. Not logic, not passion, not possibility, but fear. And every time fear wins, you lose a moment of your life that you'll never get back. We often believe that if we worry enough, we can somehow prevent bad things from happening. But the reality is, worrying doesn't stop the future from unfolding. It just robs you of enjoying the present. You can sit in a room for hours thinking about everything that could go wrong tomorrow. But tomorrow is still going to happen however it's meant to. All you've done is wasted today. Fear is powerful because it disguises itself as protection. Your mind tells you, if I don't take the risk, I can't fail. If I don't get too close, I can't get hurt. If I don't try, I won't have to face rejection. But in protecting yourself from potential pain, you're also blocking yourself from potential joy. The same walls that keep out disappointment also keep out opportunity. One of the biggest problems with fear is that it's built on stories we tell ourselves. The fear of failure comes from the story that failure is something to be ashamed of, rather than a stepping stone to success. The fear of rejection comes from the story that other people's opinions define our worth. The fear of the unknown comes from the story that we must always be in control. But what if these stories aren't true? What if failure is just part of growth? What if rejection is redirection? What if the unknown is where all the best things in life happen? So, how do you stop fear from stealing your present? First, you have to recognize when fear is making your decisions. Every time you hesitate, every time you avoid something, ask yourself, is this a decision I'm making from fear or from purpose? If fear is a reason you're holding back, challenge it. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? More often than not, you'll realize that even if things don't go perfectly, you will survive. Take small steps outside of your comfort zone. Fear thrives in the unknown, so the best way to weaken it is through action. If you fear public speaking, start by speaking in small groups. If you fear failure, take a small risk and see what happens. Every time you face fear and survive, your brain starts to understand that fear doesn't have to control you. Another powerful tool is to focus on the present moment. Fear exists in the future. It's based on what might happen. But right now, in this very moment, you are okay. You are breathing, you are alive, and you have everything you need to take the next step. When fear tries to pull you into the unknown, ground yourself in the now. At the end of the day, life is happening right in front of you, but if you're always afraid of what's next, you'll miss what's now. Don't let fear steal any more time from you. Take the risk. Say yes. Move forward, because the future will come no matter what. But whether you enjoy today is entirely up to you. Forgiveness is one of the hardest things to do, yet one of the most powerful things you can give yourself. We often think of forgiveness as a gift to someone else, as if we are excusing their actions or letting them off the hook. But the truth is, forgiveness is not about them, it's about you. It is about setting yourself free from the weight of resentment, bitterness, and pain that holds you back. When someone hurts us, whether through betrayal, lies, or neglect, it leaves a scar. That pain doesn't just disappear, it lingers in our thoughts, our emotions, and even in our bodies. We replay the situation, thinking of what we should have said or done. We hold on to anger because it feels like a form of justice, as if by staying mad, we are making them pay for what they did. But here's the problem. While we are holding on to that anger, they have moved on. They are living their lives while we are still trapped in the past, reliving the pain over and over again. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. It does not hurt them, it hurts you. It affects your peace of mind, your happiness, and even your health. Studies have shown that holding on to anger and resentment can lead to stress, anxiety, high blood pressure, and even heart disease. It drains your energy and takes up space in your mind that could be filled with joy, growth, and new experiences. Forgiveness does not mean that what happened was okay. It does not mean that you have to allow that person back into your life or that you have to forget what they did. Forgiveness means that you are choosing to release the emotional hold that situation has over you. It means saying, I will not let this pain control me anymore. But how do you actually forgive? It's not as simple as flipping a switch. It's a process. The first step is acknowledging the pain. Pretending that it didn't hurt or trying to suppress it doesn't lead to true forgiveness. Be honest with yourself about what happened and how it affected you. The next step is shifting your perspective. Ask yourself, what is holding on to this anger costing me? Is it keeping you from enjoying life? Is it affecting your relationships? Is it stopping you from moving forward? When you realize that holding on to resentment is only hurting you, you start to see forgiveness as something that benefits you, not the other person. One of the hardest, yet most powerful things you can do is try to see the situation from a higher perspective. Often, people who hurt others are dealing with their own pain. This doesn't justify their actions, but it does help you understand that their behavior was a reflection of them, not you. Sometimes, the people who hurt us the most are the ones who are hurting the most. Another important step is to focus on the present and the future rather than the past. As long as you are stuck in resentment, you are still living in the moment of pain. But you deserve to live in peace, in happiness, in freedom. Letting go of resentment allows you to create space for new, positive experiences in your life. Forgiveness is a choice you have to make over and over again. Some days you may feel like you've let go, and then something reminds you of the past, and the anger creeps back in. That's okay. Forgiveness is not a one-time event. It's a continuous journey. Each time those feelings return, remind yourself why you are choosing to let go, not for them, but for you. At the end of the day, forgiveness is an act of self-love. It is deciding that your peace is more important than your past. It is refusing to let anger control you. It is choosing to move forward, to heal, and to live, because you deserve that freedom, you deserve that peace, and you are the only one who can give it to yourself. Failure is one of the most feared experiences in life. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe that failing is something to be ashamed of, something to avoid at all costs. We associate it with disappointment, embarrassment, and even worthlessness. But what if we have been looking at failure the wrong way? What if failure is not the opposite of success, but a necessary step toward it? The truth is, everyone fails. Every successful person you admire, every leader, every innovator, every athlete, at some point they all fail. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't that successful people never fail. It's that they don't let failure define them. They learn from it, adapt, and keep moving forward. One of the biggest misconceptions about failure is that it means you're not good enough. But in reality, failure is simply feedback. It's a way of life telling you what doesn't work so you can find out what does. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. No one gets it right the first time. You fall, you scrape your knees, you get frustrated, but each time you get back on, you learn something new. How to balance better, how to adjust your speed, how to steer. Eventually you figure it out. And the same applies to everything else in life. The only real failure is giving up. As long as you keep trying, keep learning, and keep improving, you are still on the path to success. Some of the greatest success stories in history were built on failure. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before he invented the light bulb. Walt Disney was fired from a job because his boss thought he had no creativity. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine if any of these people had let failure stop them. The world would be a very different place. But despite knowing this, why do so many of us still fear failure? One reason is that we take it personally. Instead of seeing failure as an event, we see it as a reflection of who we are. We tell ourselves, I failed, therefore I am a failure. But this is simply not true. Failure is something that happens to you. It is not who you are. Another reason we fear failure is because of what others might think. We worry about being judged, laughed at, or looked down on. But here's a secret. Most people are too busy dealing with their own struggles to focus on yours. And even if they do judge, does their opinion really matter more than your own growth and success? So how do we change our mindset about failure? First, we need to normalize it. Understand that failure is part of the process. Instead of seeing it as something negative, start seeing it as progress. Each failure means you are trying, growing, and pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. Analyze your failures without self-judgment. Ask yourself, what went wrong? What can I do differently next time? What lessons can I take from this experience? When you shift your focus from I failed to I learned, you take back control. Develop resilience. The ability to bounce back from failure is one of the most valuable skills you can have. Train yourself to see setbacks as temporary obstacles rather than permanent defeats. The more you fail and keep going, the stronger you become. Take action despite the fear. Don't wait until you feel completely ready, because that moment may never come. Start before you feel prepared. Take risks and accept that failure is part of the journey. The sooner you embrace it, the sooner you'll grow. Failure is not something to be feared. It is something to be used. It is a tool for growth, a stepping stone toward success, and a teacher that provides valuable lessons. The only true failure in life is never trying at all. So don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid of letting that fear hold you back, because failure is not the end of the road. It is just a turn in the right direction. Happiness is something everyone wants, yet so many people struggle to find it. We often think that happiness is something we will achieve one day, after we get the perfect job, after we find the right person, after we have more money, after we reach a certain goal. But this way of thinking is a trap. If your happiness is always dependent on something in the future, you will never truly experience it in the present. Too many people spend their lives waiting for happiness. They tell themselves, I'll be happy when, and attach their joy to something external. But what happens when they reach that goal? The happiness is often short-lived, and then they find something else to chase. It becomes an endless cycle of seeking happiness instead of actually living it. Happiness is not something you find in the future, it's something you create in the present. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to enjoy life is because they are too focused on what's missing. They compare themselves to others, always wanting more, always feeling like they are behind. Social media makes this even worse, constantly showing us highlights of other people's lives, making us feel like we are not doing enough. But this mindset steals our ability to appreciate what we already have. If you're always looking at what's missing, you'll never see what's right in front of you. Gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to break free from this cycle. When you shift your focus from what I lack to what I have, everything changes. You begin to notice the small things, the warmth of the sun, the laughter of a loved one, the simple moments that make life beautiful. Gratitude is a reminder that happiness isn't in some distant future, it's in the present moment, waiting to be noticed. Another reason people struggle to enjoy life is because they take it too seriously. They get caught up in responsibilities, stress, and the pressure to always be productive. But life is not just about work, goals, and obligations. It's also about play, joy, and spontaneity. Think about children. They don't need a reason to laugh, to dance, to be excited about life. But as we grow older, we forget how to have fun. We convince ourselves that we don't have time for joy, that we have to be serious all the time. But what's the point of achieving success if you're too stressed to enjoy it? One of the best ways to truly enjoy life is to slow down. We live in a fast-paced world where everything is about rushing to the next thing. But when you slow down, you start to actually experience life. Instead of eating in a hurry, taste your food. Instead of scrolling through your phone, have a real conversation. Instead of constantly thinking about what's next, be fully present in what's happening now. Surrounding yourself with the right people also makes a huge difference. Happiness is contagious. If you spend your time with negative, toxic, or constantly complaining people, their energy will affect you. But if you surround yourself with people who are positive, supportive, and full of life, you will naturally feel more alive too. Stop waiting for permission to enjoy your life. You don't need to achieve some milestone before you can be happy. You don't need to have everything figured out. Happiness is not something that happens after you've done everything perfectly. It happens when you decide to embrace life as it is right now. Life is not about reaching a destination, it's about enjoying the journey. If you spend all your time chasing happiness, you will miss the moments that make life meaningful. Let go of the need to have everything planned. Let go of the idea that happiness is somewhere in the future.